So, Faker won Worlds the other week. He beat the final boss of League of Legends after chasing his 4th title for 7 years. He said he has no plans to retire anytime soon, and T1 have said they're keeping the dream team together for 2024. So, the question is, can Faker do it all again next year? Thanks to ROG for sponsoring this video. Here's Dimitri to tell you more about their Black Friday sale that ends today.
All right, first things first, if you are in the market for a killer gaming monitor, boy, do I have some good news for you, gamers. This year, ROG are having an exclusive 15% off Black Friday sale on their Swift OLED PG27 AQDM monitor only on Amazon. We actually just partnered with ROG for a Cracked, where Colton and I built a god-tier rig just to test out ROG's new 540Hz monitor. That said, all of ROG's gaming displays are top tier, and the PG27 is no exception. It's the brightest OLED gaming monitor on the market, boasting colors and contrast that you need to see to believe. The PG27 also offers 1440p resolution and a 240Hz refresh rate, which is pretty much the perfect combination for any real capital G gamer. So head over to Amazon if you're in need of a stellar upgrade that won't break the bank. Now back to the video.
All right, so we had this the other week.
And you can see Faker especially looking on while his teammates are raising the cup as well. He's done it 3 times. This is the first time, and he'll hoist it for the 4th.
And this week, every player in the world would have seen this in-game if they were paying close enough attention.
Look at the trophy in top lane. Holy fuck, that's in the game? Wait, that's crazy. I didn't notice that.
Faker's 4th world title, 10 years after his first, 7 years after his last. The GOAT is back on top, etc., etc., etc. There was so much build up to the finals. We kept wondering whether or not Faker could win, and not what would happen after he succeeded. One concern a few months ago was that Faker might retire if he won Worlds, and that does make sense. He's done it all. He's had his redemption arc now. This year marks 10 years since his professional debut. It would have looked nice and neat in the history books. But Faker said at the post-finals media conference that he'll continue to work with T1 while still contracted with them, and would think about retirement at a later date. Another concern was that T1 wouldn't keep the roster together. In September, T1 AD carry Gumayusi told a South Korean news outlet that he thought 2023 would be the last Worlds they'd play together as a team. Then, during Worlds itself, Zeus said in a T1 interview that although their shared struggles had brought them together, something felt off this time, and it might be the last tournament they participated in. Of course, that was before they went and won the whole thing. I think becoming world champions can kind of help make you forget the bad times. On Wednesday last week, T1 teased that the roster would be staying together before officially announcing that the players whose contracts were up, Gumayusi, Keria, and Zeus, had all re-signed with T1 for another year. This team's longevity is something else. This current roster has existed since owner joined the others in December 2020. Starting in spring next year, they'll have been playing together for 3 years. That's not just rare for elite teams, that is rare for any roster. Can this familiarity and stability help the team run it back in 2024? Well, if there's any truth to the phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, then you really don't need to fix T1 right now. They're fresh world champions, they're all best in role contenders. I don't even think their bot lane are contenders at this point. I think they genuinely are just the best bot lane in the world, probably have been for about a year or so. This team have shown they can adapt to shifting metas, and even the younger members now have battle-hardened experience. The only major change is the return of T1 legend Kkoma as their head coach. He oversaw the SKT dynasty in Faker's early days, as the team went on to win 3 Worlds in 4 years, a couple of MSIs, and a string of domestic titles.
That's a world championship coaching staff in 2016. It's Kkoma with a TV on a chair with a notepad.
Since Kkoma left in 2019, T1 have had 7 different coaches, and the thinking was that Faker had become the de facto strategic coach, so it will be interesting to see how the two work together now. But other teams looking to take T1's crown in 2024 have made much more sweeping changes. Perhaps the greatest example of this is Gen G, who have been somewhat of a kryptonite for T1 over the past couple of years. The day after the World's final, they announced the release of 4 of their starting roster, including Chovy. After a nervous week for fans, they announced the return of Chovy and Lehens alongside Keen, Pays, and Canyon. That is a terrifying roster. If you wanted to construct a team in a lab that could take down T1 at this point, it would probably look something like this. LS believes it's the single best team Chovy has ever had surrounding him, and that the only foreseeable hurdle for a team like this is their synergy. So the team that has beaten T1 in 3 out of the last 4 LCK titles seems to have got an upgrade. Don't expect next year to be a walk in the park for T1. And that's not even mentioning other confirmed rosters like Hanwha Life's 8-man super team roster. Next year is gonna be spicy. We don't have too much confirmed about LPL teams yet, but you know they're gonna be back with a vengeance next year. T1 had a pretty rocky 2023, all things considered, that ended in spectacular fashion. JDG had a pretty impeccable 2023 that ended with them stumbling at one of the final hurdles. They were so close to achieving the Golden Road, winning everything a team possibly could in a single year. But for T1, let's say they hold their nerve. Let's say their synergy remains, the metas suit them, Kkoma gels with the team, and they're able to stay one step ahead of the competition. Is it realistic to expect them to win Worlds next year? It's important to look back at historical precedents here to remind ourselves of one thing. It is very hard to defend a Worlds title. In fact, it's only ever happened once in 2016 when SKT defended it in a thrilling 5-game series versus Samsung Galaxy. Other than that, no team has ever done it back-to-back. You can even go one step further with this. There have only ever been 4 teams that have even made it to back-to-back finals. Starhorn Royal Club in 2014, Samsung Galaxy in 2017, Damwon Gaming in 2021, and T1 in 2023. Put it simply, it's not an easy task. Their fanbase is already notoriously harsh on them. Last year, Faker sued toxic fans who harassed him over T1's performances in recent years. As much as I'd like them to be satisfied with this recent Worlds title, it may have simply raised the bar of expectation for them. So is it unrealistic to not only expect T1 to make it back to finals next year, but actually win the whole thing? Well, one thing to remember is that the form T1 showed at Worlds this year wasn't just a fluke, it wasn't a flash in the pan. They have been one of the strongest teams in the world for about 2 years now. They just haven't had much to show for it until now. In spring 2022, they broke a record by being the first team in LCK history to achieve a perfect 18-0 split. The previous record of 14-0 had stood for 7 years and was set by none other than SKT and Faker. So we know they can maintain a high level of play over a long period of time, and there's no reason to expect this wouldn't continue into next year, especially with this recent confidence boost. Just because winning back-to-back finals has only ever happened once before doesn't mean this iteration of T1 can't do that again. Maybe even go on and achieve the Golden Road next year. Think about it. Next year, T1 wins spring, they win MSI, they win summer, they win Worlds. They achieve the Golden Road, something that's never been done before, and then Faker retires. How poetic would that be? It's not unimaginable. Faker and this iteration of T1 constantly break records, smash expectations, and do the unthinkable. Look, a lot can change in a year. In 2016, it looked like nobody in the world could stop Faker and SKT, and a year later, the SKT dynasty was over. Now, I know that was a different era, different teammates, but my point is, it's hard to predict the future. We don't know where we'll be in 6 months, never mind 12. But the foreseeable future does look bright. They have the talent, they have their synergy, they have their legendary coach back, and they have the greatest player to ever live. Making back-to-back Worlds finals is not easy. Only 4 teams have ever done that. Winning back-to-back Worlds is even harder. Only 5 players have ever achieved it. And of them, only 1 is still playing. His name is Faker, and in 2024, he might just do it again. I think Faker's going to do what football players do, you know, when they retire from Europe and they go and play in, you know, North America or Saudi League or whatever, or Australia or something. I think Faker's going to go play for like a small esports club in like Stoke in England, you know, maybe Wales, maybe he'll play for Cardiff or something. But I can see that. It's where the money is, you know, that's where the money is when he retires. He'll play for Wrexham FC, why not?